10 o'clock, I'm gonna call us to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Clifton.
Here.
Fitch. Here. Stanson.
Here.
All present, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Shelley, walk us through the fund balance sheet, and we can talk a little bit more about.
Yeah,
the-
okay, so I sent you a fund balance sheet this morning, just a little bit ago. This shows the general basic fund ending at 21.05% for 2025. The general supplemental would end at 21.96%, and the rural fund would end at 20.22%.
Nothing in the teens, that's pretty good.
Rural is
Yeah.
22 point what?
Sorry, rural is 20.22.
Wow, we haven't been this good for.
This morning I moved, just right before I sent these, I moved a couple things around. I moved, the sheriff's car from the rural fund to the general fund. And I moved, Brady has a medical equipment line that we bump back and forth depending on how fund balances are. $25,000, I moved that to the general fund, because the rural fund was sitting at about 19-ish%, and so I wanted to see if I could get that to 20.
Nice to, not that it was make or break it, but
No,
it's nice to see
It is
everything 20
nice,
or
yes,
better.
and we had a little bit of wiggle room in the general to be able to take those on, and so I moved those around to allow everybody to, all of those three funds to be above 20%. I do not have an updated budget sheet from secondary roads yet. Theirs comes out of the secondary roads fund, so it doesn't impact these numbers that we're looking at today. But I just wanted to give you guys an update that I do not have that from my packet yet with the union negotiation
Shouldn't
wages.
affect it too much, cause
Shouldn't
it had 5 in there with the 3.5, but with some market adjustments, I guess it's
Yeah,
It's gonna be-
yeah.
a step, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a positive change.
Yeah, so I will make sure before everything is finalized that I get his updated numbers from him. He hasn't responded, which isn't like him, so I don't know if is he gone?
I thought he was gone this week.
Okay.
No, he wasn't gone. I talked to him.
Oh, okay. Well,
He might be
anyways,
in the
I'll make
shop.
sure that he, I get those from him before we move to finalize everything, but, that's where we ended up with those.
Saw your email about public health salary line.
Yes,
Had we not drastically slashed them and some of it on their part, I know it could be punitive and figure out what that is and could slash it by that much more, but they can set what they want to set,
mhm,
so.
As long as it's in the number
Yeah.
that we,
So
And you know-
that being the case, and as much as they conceded on that,
I don't know that I have a heart
I-
over it.
they ended up cutting a little bit more than what we asked, so.
Yeah, so let's let that go.
yeah, yep.
If that's okay with everybody, let it go.
Yeah.
Well, I can't, I mean, we could slash their budget further, but
That's
that's
not-
budget and Jennison's pretty hard already.
perfect, okay. I just wanted you guys to be
And
be
thank you.
aware of that, so.
Okay, so assuming we're all good with this, what do the next steps look like?
Yep, so like I said, the next thing I will do is get that spreadsheet from Mike. I've, got all the updated salary increases from all other departments except for, the treasurer's office, and she just has that part-time employee. So it really wouldn't, it's not gonna change a whole lot from 4 to 3.5, but I'll make sure I get that from her, because that will impact the general a tiny bit. It'll help those numbers a small amount, but her part-time person is the only one that's even paid, like a non-union, the rest are all tied to her.
And what are you waiting for? I mean,
Just
Just
a new
hire-
spreadsheet from her with the update to 3.5.
For that one
Position's
position.
For
vacant
that one
anyway.
position,
It's
yeah,
vacant, so.
yeah, so anyways, that's the last thing. I'm pretty sure everybody else besides, I met with Erin Hardesty this morning and worked through hers. I think everybody else's I have. Looking through the list here. Ryan Hobart, I don't have his yet for zoning.
but it won't change, will it?
It'll change a little
Little
bit,
bit
I mean,
because-
it'll go from 4 to 3.5. So I'll make sure I have those, and then, the property tax hearing notice will be in the paper next week. for that hearing on April 1st.
And that's gonna say what our required levies are.
That will
basically?
say, here's what our max is, this is what we can, it's kind of like the max levy, it's just a little bit different. But it'll say, here's the max that we can levy based on that House file.
Mhm.
And it'll have the amount, and then it'll say what our asking is, or what our amounts are. It's gonna confuse a lot of people. Down at the bottom, there's gonna be an example for if you have $100,000 residential property and $100,000 commercial property, what is that going to look like for you? What's the impact? Well, the rollback has changed, so everybody's.
It's hard to predict, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and everybody's example down at the bottom is a negative. Like ours is showing people's taxes are going down -16% because the rollback is different.
Yeah.
And so their taxable value is less, which means their taxes are less. So that's how it's gonna be. It'll be interesting to see. I have a press release going to the paper to kind of explain all of that. That should print. With a press release, you're kind of at the mercy of when the papers
Right.
wanna print it, but it's going to the Echo, it's going to the Madisonian, to kind of explain that to people a little bit.
Cause it's not gonna make sense, cause right now, according to these numbers, our taxes are going up 6%.
Mhm.
So that's not gonna make any sense.
No, because your property tax is going down, but your assessed value is going down, so
Now
that's
your
going to
assessed
up.
value's going up, but your
Yours-
rollback
oh,
is increasing
the
the same
rollback.
taxable value.
Yes,
It's gonna be.
Is it going down or is it staying?
Yeah, I
So
don't
it's gonna
know.
look like they're getting a tax decrease, but in reality, it's an increase.
I don't like the example that's on there, I mean,
Can we do a different example?
Nope. That is, it basically is taking it, the law states their example has to be $100,000 example, and it says what their taxes were on their $100,000 value last year, and what they're gonna be this year, and based on the rollback, it's a decrease, so.
But yet, on the rest of the postcard, it's gonna show old taxes, new taxes. So people are
Dollars,
gonna be
yeah.
like, how does that work out? That doesn't make any sense.
So is it going to be, are they going to be paying more or less with the rollback?
Well, they should be paying less because their tax value is going down.
But in reality,
It's an increase because we're taking more money in this budget.
But your levy is smaller, I'm
Yeah,
confused. So
I
your-
am
So
too.
your taxable value is down,
So I'll show
your
you,
levy's down,
let me see if I have that example here.
Well, if you look at the numbers that she provided us, if you compare the 2024 versus the 2025,
Actually,
the difference is $500,000.
Mhm.
We're taxing at $508,237 more than last year, according to this.
Do we really know, and you got that exemption if you're over 65, and then the rollback, do we really know how this is gonna shake out? I mean, I don't think the state does,
Oh, they,
So the thing that
because,
is a little bit convoluted in this is you've got the changes in assessed values and whatnot, but you also got new properties coming on,
yeah,
which, that's new taxes, which shouldn't affect someone's existing taxpayers' tax bill. So
And you
That's
have
how it
to-
shakes out.
and you own commercial property, I own commercial property and house, so what does that do to us? Do we know?
You don't have the
not
same rollback.
that, yeah.
So the commercial won't have a rollback.
Well, it'll be
it'll
the
have a
same
rollback, but
as it is right now.
that gets convoluted too, because on the commercial, you get there's a base amount, and then anything above that gets the 10% rollback, so, am I getting that right? If your commercial property is not very expensive, like $100,000, you get treated up better than if it was $1 million. They're not proportionately the same, because you get a rollback like in the first 150,000, and then after that, your rollback's only 10%.
So if you have $1 million property, you get way less.
You're gonna be, it's not the same as 100,000, it's not 10 times more than $100,000, it's quite a bit more than that.
Okay, I just emailed you guys a copy of the notice that's gonna be in the paper.
And I'm sure you have no wiggle room, this is pretty much,
Is there any way you can add stuff to the
Nope.
mailing?
It's set by that hearing notice, or that,
That format?
format is set by the Department of Management.
Oh, this is gonna be
Using the
really
code.
well received.
So the top section goes over, where we're at currently, what, the budget year effective tax is if we left dollars the same. So if we said, we wanna bring in the same dollar amount, for the general and the rural that we brought in current year, here's what our levies would be. The last column says, okay, we're gonna take our general to the maximum allowed for our county, which is that I can't remember what the number is, I have 3.6, I think, or something. If we put our levies at our max that we're allowed in our county, there's the property tax dollars we're gonna bring in. Down at the bottom, these are the tax rate comparisons, current versus proposed. So a residential property, actual / assessed value of $100,000. Currently, an urban taxpayer would pay $306. At the proposed, it's going to be $254. So that is a percent difference of negative almost 17%, 16.99.
So the tax rate is going down, but not the taxes.
That is taxes. $306 to $254 is taxes,
That person actually pays.
if they pay.
Yeah.
But,
That-
Yes,
that's
that
what
they
the-
pay.
That's what the
Mhm.
personal bill is.
Yep.
So the personal bill actually went down.
mhm. Now, keep in mind, this is only for the county, this is not this
Right.
doesn't take into consideration schools, cities, anything like that.
But if you look at the raw dollars in the third
Mhm.
column, they're higher than current year, so that
I
shows
understand that,
more taxes being
but,
assessed and
but they're
taken.
being assessed on, is that because they're being assessed on new properties?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's your difference. So
Yeah,
Dragging in.
personally, your tax bill went down
Mhm.
Yes,
because someone built
Because
$1
I've
million
got a
house and they hadn't
Right.
paid taxes before, so that's went up, and
Mhm.
so your total, and that's the way growth should work.
yeah,
Mhm, it should.
It shouldn't be on the backs of your existing taxpayers.
Right.
It should be the growth that you had in your county, and that's the whole purpose of this
Mhm.
bill, is that if you have, our growth, 6%?
Mhm.
So we had to curtail back, well, thank goodness we had 6% growth, because we can still have
Yeah.
a budget that allows us to make the changes that we need to make, and not increase the individuals.
But there's no guarantee, we don't know if this is gonna, because we said the same thing in the past, and you get the bill and their bill goes up.
yeah,
So-
but we don't know that, Heather, we can't,
We can't say that all this dollars is coming from new property, we can't. It's coming from somewhere, it's we're collecting $508,000 more than last year, so it's coming from somewhere. So this is my concern, is they're gonna look, if anyone does math, they're gonna look at your numbers and they're gonna see an increase and they're like, well, why is it showing it's going down if you guys are collecting more money?
Because you have growth, you have new people paying taxes that didn't pay last year.
we have 6% growth, whereas you have 8%.
And now some of that is changed, is assessed
Yes.
values, and
Yes.
it's always, I'd really like to have a clear look, it's like, okay, this, X% of this is because the assessed value has changed, X% of it is because there was 5 new houses and 1 new commercial, whatever it is, so you could actually quantify that, which is challenging to do,
Because my assessed value went up.
yeah.
Oh, mine.
So,
They use it,
so we
mine is
can't really
fine.
say it's new construction because people's, not everyone's, but people's assessed values go up, which means even if we lower the levy, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
net increase for me.
I got you.
So this is gonna make them even more confused.
Sometimes I think that's, I think that's a plan sometimes.
Because it says here, the tax, it says, help me understand, it says tax rate comparison, current versus proposed.
Mhm.
So, this says tax rate. So,
Where does it say tax? Oh, tax
the
rate,
gray
yeah.
part, where it
Yep.
says tax rate comparison,
Mhm.
Current versus-
so, but these dollars are if they were at the old rate versus the new rate,
Mhm.
okay, so.
Okay, I'm trying to
I'm just
simplify
trying
this,
to-
I'm looking at urban taxpayers that are paying 306 on 100,000 last year, paying 254 this year, it's down 16%, or 17. But if their assessed value, taxable value went up 17%, it's the same.
Mhm.
Okay, Jessica uses me in his example. We built the machine shed,
Mhm.
that raised our taxes horrifically. then because of that court case, we are farm, but we're not now, we're residential. So my assessed value went way up because I lost all my ag, so mine went way up. So there you're, maybe, then there were a lot of people that lost residential, so that could have raised that.
That's a little bit of a unique situation though, but
But
if you're talking about the person that had a house last year, has a house this year, really haven't made any changes, but there was a market value change on it. I mean, that's a little more quantifiable than the situation you're explaining. Yours is a lot more complicated.
But I think it dragged a lot of people into losing the ag tax, so now the residential tax, so that wouldn't be a much higher, their tax much higher, correct?
So explain to me the difference between the effective tax and proposed tax
So,
columns.
Yep, effective tax, like I said, that's same tax dollars. So if you look at requested tax dollars, in that second row up there, current year's 5894,837. Effective tax is saying if we kept tax dollars the same at 5894,837, the levy rate would be $5.17.
Oh, I see, okay.
Now, if we set our max for what we can ask in our county at 5.47, then we're gonna generate $6.2 million in taxes.
And we're at our max now, are we not?
We are at our max,
Okay.
yes, yeah, which is pull up the spreadsheet.
So this is kind of somewhere between, you know, the levies, in the past, you'd say, okay, the levy's the same as last year. Well, so we did increase taxes. Well, that's BS, because you did increase taxes.
Yeah.
And this is, the levy went down, but we still increased taxes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, I have the general at 3.39806, which is our max that we can ask. So it went from 3.5 to 3.39806.
See, so
And
really
that's
it goes.
general basic only. That doesn't, the numbers on the hearing are general supplemental together. That number I just gave you is only general basic.
And there was no change in the supplemental levy.
Correct.
So 3.5 to 3.39, so it appears we lowered it,
Just the levy, not the
just
tax.
the levy, I know.
Yep, and then the rural went from 3.8 to 3.68932. I understand what the legislation is trying to do,
Yeah.
but I think it is.
This second part, I think, confuses
Is
things.
very confusing, yeah, and we
If they
said
just kept the
whole-
top part, that would be more understandable than the second
But
part.
I think they're
Yes.
confused too, to be honest. They do.
So, so when I was on the sheet you sent us this morning, when I added up all the numbers, the general, the supplemental, and the rural basic, I got a difference of 508,237, but on this publication, it's 508,190. Is that just a rounding thing? Or did I miss that? Hopefully this feedback is being given to our legislators, that this is causing confusion, or it will cause
By the
confusion.
time all these postcards go out, people get them, they'll be past doing anything about it.
Yeah, so early.
I mean, it's only a $47 difference, I just wanna make
Yeah.
sure I was
Yes,
looking at the right
yeah,
numbers.
it's rounding.
It's rounding,
Yep.
okay.
Cause you always go to whole numbers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we kept rounding every single time, then that makes sense.
Everything
That's
is
a big
round.
number.
I just wanted to make sure what was showing up on there was what was.
It's all
consistent,
round
and
to a
it's-
whole number,
Okay.
Heather. These, boy, when I first started, it's confusing, but yeah.
I was gonna see if Department of Management, they sent out an email on that explanation. These examples required under Code of Iowa 25.2A2 are meant to show an estimate of the change in budgeted taxes to be paid to the county during FY 25 on a home or business with an assessed/actual value of 100,000.
How many homes around here
I don't think we have any.
most of them are way more than 100,000, aren't they?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
but
you'll
that's a
have a
number that you
few,
can round easy,
Is
you
that
know,
why they're
if yours
doing
is
it?
250, you always take it up to 2.5,
Yeah.
it makes the math easy.
I mean, there's a few in smaller towns that they don't
But it's
have
not-
the assessed value.
I wonder why they didn't use a more average number. I
Well,
mean,
maybe in some counties it is applied, just not.
Well, you go to the
ours.
southern tiers and it is. I mean,
So, but I understand why they used it, it's just, looking at this,
they-
your average person is not gonna understand the first part versus the second part. Unless we're like, well, the burden of the taxes are gonna be on those properties that are over 100,000.
Which is the majority.
This is not gonna be helpful.
Nope.
So Phil, if you have a really big commercial property, how do they bypass, cause they do, it seems like, you give them abatements and they don't have this and they don't have that and.
Well, that stuff eventually catches up with it, but as I understand commercial, you get a dollar amount haircut off the top, and then after that, everything's taxed at 90%, so if you're, let's say it's $75,000 haircut, it's $150,000 property, all of a sudden you gotta cut back to 75, and you're gonna pay taxes on 90% of 75. Well, if it's $1 million property, you're gonna get the haircut at 75, so now you're at 925, and you're gonna get that trimmed by 10%.
It's a lesser impact.
Yes.
The bigger the number,
Yes.
the lesser the impact of the change.
I'm kinda looking at my own values just to see, cause
Sure.
between
yeah.
22 and 23, assessed value of my house went up $27,000. I'm trying to kind of backing
Yeah.
into it, so that's a real effect on it.
Sure.
So I'm kind of backing into it that way.
Yep.
I think mine is worse.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I pulled all of you guys when I did tax
Mine
statements,
is-
just to make sure everything was calculated correctly.
So I'm not gonna find a glaring error here in my favor.
Well, you might.
Yeah.
You won't. Rick's looked for all the glaring errors, none of them work. He even argues it to no avail.
The statements will be going out to, property owners by the 20th of March. Everybody's supposed to have everything by law entered into the property management site by 4 PM on March 15th. Or by March 15th, the DOM is telling them to do it by 4 PM.
Do you have everything from the cities and schools yet?
You have to have everything, it has to be certified by.
No, they just have to be in the DOM with their property tax information in there. Here, I can tell you 1 second, who I'm still waiting on, as of yesterday, now maybe they did it last night. We'll see.
And I heard the city of Winterset is having their hearing the exact same day we are.
Exact
They
same
always
date,
do.
not the same time,
Oh, okay.
Well,
which is
last
what we
year-
ran into last year.
Sure, theirs lasted 3 minutes because everybody was at ours.
Well, wasn't there a rule this year, you can't have it at the same time as your regular meeting?
Correct, but you can open it, close it, and then
And then
roll right into your next one. There's no law that says you can't have it on the same date. You just can't have it in the same meeting. So they can open their property tax hearing, meeting,
Okay.
go into public hearing, close it, close that meeting, and then open a new meeting.
Hmm.
So, yes.
don't know, based on the arguments from the legislator when they passed this, I don't think that was their intent, but that's how it's written.
I'm still waiting on Maxburg
For what, Shelley?
for them to propose their property tax hearing.
And do you put all the hearing dates on this postcard?
So it will generate, yes, all of their hearing dates. Anybody who is school, city, and county will have all their hearing dates on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Providing they give it to you.
Yes, if they
Okay.
do not give it, there will be a disclaimer on there that says they did not, what is it, the wording is basically, it tells them their property owners that they did not, comply with the law.
And what happens to them then?
They just have to call their city council or
Do they have a
school.
clerk now?
Mhm.
Maxburg?
Tricia Gardner.
Oh.
I don't have Interstate 35s.
You're kidding.
Otherwise, those are the only two I'm waiting, they're saying two.
And when is the drop dead date for you on that?
Well, they were supposed to have everything to me by March 5th,
Oh, okay.
but the law states the 15th. That's why the DOM is telling us not to pull our file until March 15th, because technically the law allows them until the 15th. It's just such a quick turnaround to, if they don't get their stuff to me till March 15th, I have to upload it from here, put it in Solutions, pull it from Solutions to our mail servicer so they can get the notices sent out by, they can run their process. What their process is gonna do is they're gonna say, okay, Diane, you have 5 properties and 5 different taxing authorities, all of your stuff's gonna go into one envelope. So then we're not sending you 5 envelopes, we're sending you 5 letters, because you have to get a separate letter if you have a property in the Interstate School District and you have a property in the Winterset School District and you have a property in Earlham School District, you're gonna get 3 different letters.
Now, I-35, they have multiple districts, is that correct? Well,
They have multiple districts for their school board.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all elected at large, but yeah.
Wonder why they're so late.
So, that's not a lot of turnaround if you get it in the mail.
No.
And that's not a lot of notice to the taxpayers when the hearing is.
Yep. The law says they're not supposed to, I think it's written in the law, they can't have their meeting before March 25th. Which again, I don't agree with the law on that, I think they should have pushed that out even further, because I don't know about you guys if you've mailed anything lately, but it takes forever. So chances are,
They might not get this
They
till
may
like the
not-
day before.
they may not get ours until after our hearing's done.
Okay,
I'm just doing some quick and dirty math here.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
My own property in the year that they adjusted the assessed value of my house, okay? So I figured it at the current levy, the 5.596 from the year it was cheaper.
Okay.
And I looked at our new proposed levy, the 5.475 off the higher value, and my calculations are close. My property tax bill to the county went from 1,080 to 1,089. So what not very much.
So a Starbucks comp, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
so the way I'm reading this, and I wanna make sure I'm doing my numbers correct, it's a 0.35446 between our current levy and the new levy. The new levy's 0.35446 less. Cause I took the tax rate county-wide and added it to the rural total. Am I figuring that right?
Well, you're looking at the hearing notice, I
Yeah,
assume.
I'm sorry, the
Okay.
hearing
No,
notice,
that's
yeah.
okay, I just wanna make sure we're looking at the same document.
So they're gonna read this as they went down.
They're gonna think their property taxes are gonna go down, and that's not the case.
But using my
But
illustration.
yours
it
are
went up-
$9.
Yeah, $9 out of
Yeah.
over $1,000,
It's not
so
like
it's less than 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0.8% in my illustration.
0.8 to,
0.8.
yeah, that's, like I said.
Well, you
Yeah,
know, some
I'm kind
people
of
I think will not have an adjustment at all, they'll see no change, some
No,
will have
some
less.
won't, and some will go down.
In reality, when I look at my tax bill, it's the city and the school that are gonna be the drivers on it.
Yes,
So-
yes.
But I'm just using, it's cause it's real numbers.
Well,
real math.
you're within city limits,
Yes.
so your percentage of county taxes is less.
Yes, so I'm just figuring off
So-
statewide.
The ones I think that will feel this are the ones in the rural, because their taxes are the school district and county. The majority of their taxes are school district and county.
57.75 mine is to the city, to the school.
Heather, what was that number you said?
It was a difference of 0.35446.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's what I got too.
Okay, so our levy is going down by 0.35446 from
For
this.
just these
Just
funds.
these funds.
Remember, we have debt service funds.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
No, Shelley, our levy went down, but have the schools gone up?
I don't have their stuff. Yeah, they don't certify their stuff to me till April 30th, so I've not seen what they're doing. I know Martinsdale passed their Pepple on Tuesday. So that is doubling. It's going from 0.67 to 1.34. Now, everything I was seeing said they were going to reduce in other places, so it wasn't such a hit to their taxpayers. I don't know what their intention is there. But I won't get anything, and they don't certify their budget to me. They send it to Warren.
And then they went to a
the
4-day
impactor.
week.
So I don't know what other entities are doing at this point. I've only received hospital and ag extension at this point because they're not bound to this property tax hearing. So they can certify at any time, so they're done already.
So if this goes down, ours went down, the school taxes could bring it, right?
Well, the levy went down, the taxes aren't going down,
Well,
cause the assessed values went up. So, you're right, it couples if the school levy does not go down far enough.
Right.
The overall, the taxpayers will see an increase on the county side and the school side. Now, I heard for I-35, the rumor is gonna be status quo. I don't know if that's true or not.
Sure, okay.
I know Earlham, theirs was status quo, I think. Maybe a little bit less. I missed the last meeting. But, hopefully, it would be great if they have a reduction, because then that can offset this increase in assessed values. But unless we have a significant levy reduction, we're gonna always be chasing those increased assessed values. So, and we can't stop that. So yeah, you're gonna get a lot of calls on this.
I know.
Can you come up with
Diana,
a?
put your cell phone number on the hearing notice.
All right.
Just kidding.
So do
I'll
you
take it.
think,
It's okay.
I think I don't know how to share this in a way that makes most sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say, we're collecting $508,000 more than we did last year. It's gonna shake out differently depending on each property.
Mhm.
So, that's the only way you can do, cause all this stuff is gonna,
Even
I'm
though
gonna get
we
questions
lowered
on
your
this.
levy, your taxes are not going down because of the assessed value.
right.
Which we don't have a lot of,
The only control we
Control
have
over
is over the
assessed,
levy.
yeah.
So, we could lower the levy more, should we choose to do that. But,
we made some huge cuts.
well, cause we had to. We were
I just did
forced
the
to.
same calculation, if my house was in the country and I was paying at the rural rate, and my property tax bill would have gone up 0.6%.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it's actually less of an impact on the rural side than it is in the.
Well, we're getting that $500,000 from somewhere, Phil.
Yes.
I don't think it's all from.
Well, I don't think it's the extra $11 or $10 that I'm paying. It's a lot of it's new construction, new valuations, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, and I can look at the abstract
And there's
that
a lot of
the
new
assessor's
houses.
office sent me, cause it breaks out new construction versus existing.
That would be helpful. Maybe we could put that in the,
Then I could,
And there is
be
a
able
lot
to-
of new construction.
Yeah, it's,
She would know that right up there. Well, so would probably zoning.
So, next steps would just be, the hearing notice, or the property tax hearing on April 1st. And then, your budget hearing on April 22nd, whatever the Monday date is. Both of them at 6 PM in the annex.
do you guys, now that we're doing a postcard for every single address, I think the annex is gonna be big enough, cause now everybody is gonna know. Cause before it was just in the paper.
Where do you propose we
I
have?
don't know, I'm just asking a
Corporate's
question.
a little bit bigger, but I don't know, we've always done, we've oftentimes done it there.
We did it in the courtroom, and then last year, I believe, or the year before, we moved to the annex.
You could go to the EMS station, that's
There's no
huge.
parking.
Oh, that's true.
It's a
No
parking
parking.
I mean, I don't care either way, I just wanna make you guys aware that we may have more
It's
people than we did
April
last
1
year.
and April 22. But
So
what
what does
days
the
are those?
presentation for the
Monday.
April 1 hearing look like?
I'm basically gonna read this statement, this hearing notice, just like I did with the max levy.
And you're just, this is what you have to do. You have, this is what you know.
Well, the notice, yeah, but
And there's no resolution this time. So with the max levy, we had to do the hearing, and then there was a resolution that you had to approve. That has gone away. There is no, so we present this information, we hear public comment,
then we close the hearing.
you
and
close
then-
the hearing, close your meeting, and we're done.
And really, you've got this, and this is the hypothetical situation, your situation may be different.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I did quick and dirty math, and it's not, it's not huge swings.
No,
Well, it's not as bad as last year,
Oh, absolutely not, less than 1%.
so, but the overall tax dollars, we're taking 6% more than we did last year.
I would like to
In
know of
taxes.
that, like, you know, $5 million, how much of it is on new valuation, or how much is on current?
That would be
Because
helpful.
That'd be really nice. to know.
I'll pull that when I get back
Be-
downstairs.
Because you should have an increase
and
in your
then
new
send
valuation,
that to you.
because you have new properties, need new services, et cetera. So your taxes should go up when there's new valuations on it.
I think that would help make sense of this bottom part.
Yeah.
If we can show, this is why it shows negative, is because hypothetically, the bulk is coming in from new
Sure.
construction.
Yeah,
I think
of
that
course.
would be helpful.
so what are
It'd
we
be really nice if
asking
you could say
Jessica?
80% or have a
Yeah.
percentage on it.
I'll ask her.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was curious. now.
I actually have it downstairs.
Oh,
She
you
needs
already
to
know.
certify her abstract to me,
Okay,
so I would have it downstairs. You can look it up.
yeah, cause that'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
That will help.
I kind of
maybe.
agree with Phil, I think there's a lot of new. More than.
And it'll be interesting to see how we move forward with Microsoft too. I mean, cause that's gonna be,
Yeah.
Do we know for sure they're not gonna bait?
There'll be a little tiff on it, I think. I don't believe there's any abatement.
I hope
They're-
not, I don't.
Their economic development guy, not, Clyde Evans retired, Brad, I think is his
Did
guy's
he
name.
retire?
He said they're not quite, I don't know what they call it. They haven't quite finalized the terms of their development agreement yet, but they're getting close, because, and when we do, I asked them to come down.
I can't imagine they won't tip it, either immediately or later on
There
down
will
the
be a
road.
little bit, but they tiffed the first one very heavily, which allowed most of the infrastructure needs for this one. So, it'll be a significant.
Yeah, but
bump.
they can use the money for whatever they want regarding infrastructure. It
Because-
doesn't have to be on for Microsoft. They could tip it for a new, whatever they want in West Des Moines.
I understand
New
that,
tennis court.
but
Yeah.
I don't believe it's gonna be very much on this.
Maybe not
Because that was kind
immediately.
of the promise that was made going in, is like, we're gonna need a lot of infrastructure in this first one, but going forward, there's not gonna be as nearly as much.
No, I trust them as far as I can throw.
I know you do, well, I have a little more faith in them.
What rumors are you hearing about the factory that wants to come here?
Never heard anything about a factory that wants to come here.
Never heard anything of that.
like
Chemical,
here, like Winterset.
chemical factory, 300 jobs.
Oh.
But they're not forthcoming on what it is, but,
So Ryan tell you that?
uh-huh, Ryan is going to be very aggressive, I think, and just
Well,
really,
that's great.
I love it, I love it. We rode to Seacog together.
See,
and
the thing is with some of that stuff is,
I know,
they throw
they do.
it out
Throw
at
the
10 different
darts out.
places and see what sticks.
Yeah,
So,
but I
I
love
always
how
said that
aggressive.
job's like going out fishing, you cast 1,000 times and hope you catch one fish.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
Okay.
we could be in a lot worse situation than what we are, thankful for that.
We're a little healthier.
We're a lot healthier than
Yeah,
some.
I,
Imagine if you didn't have that new growth.
well, I just see the auditor's affiliate, and so many counties are struggling right now because they've never levied for general supplemental, so they're trying to implement a general supplemental levy. They're way over their max in general basic, like they're really struggling, like I feel bad for their board,
These are the more rural counties.
yes.
Yeah, look at Decatur.
Yeah, they are really,
It's so bad, and he has nothing, they have
Mhm.
nothing to cut. They're so poor, they've lost so much population, they're over the max levy, I don't know where it's gonna come from.
They're gonna probably have to start laying people off.
They are, and then they'll have provide no services, so more people will leave and go to the city, it's a terrible.
We're blessed and we're cursed to be located where
We
we're at.
are,
Yeah.
we are, we're gonna have growth whether we want it or not, but that's gonna save us from becoming the lower tiers. And I know they're smaller, they're a tier smaller, but it'll be tough for them.
so as of right now, I'm hearing nothing further as far
I
as
think we're good.
changes, other than the few that I'm waiting on. Once I get those, I will resend you a new fund balance worksheet, just so you see that those changes have been made.
Do you foresee a lot of it? No.
So
No,
if this
like
is gonna be the max, so say for instance, at the hearing, members of the public make a good case on where to cut somewhere else.
Sure, yeah.
Could the board do that after this hearing?
Yes, you can always go lower, you can never go above.
Okay.
And we're at the max anyway, so there's no option to go above, but you can always lower. You can do that at your budget hearing. Like you
Okay.
have until you approve your budget on April 23rd,
Okay.
you can always go lower.
Okay,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
since we're having the hearing so early, April 1st, we would have,
Yeah.
2.5, 3 weeks
Yeah.
for
Yes.
consideration should
Should something come up. Yeah,
something come, okay.
So your cuts, at the hearing, you propose to cut what? Wages?
Oh, I'm saying if the public
Has a grand epiphany.
express,
April
if the
1st.
public has expressed, some things that they wanna change, and should the board decide to do it, I wanna make sure that we can
Yes.
do it, should we
Yep.
decide to do it, since we're at the max already,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always lower after those are posted.
It would be nice to know of the $500,000 in new money, how much of it is because of.
Yep.
yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah,
New
I will get
taxpayers
that
for the
and I
system.
will send that to you guys, you have an idea of where we're coming out with that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I think we've reached that point, so.
Okay.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be with the House File like 817. I thought it would be worse than this, and I'm sure for some counties, a lot worse than this.
Oh, it's gonna be so, cause I sit on the boards with those southern tiers and I don't know where they're gonna get. Then I did ask, well, I probably won't, about, all of the sponsorship of families that have 50 that have come over the border of sponsoring.
I don't know if we have that problem here.
Clark, he said it's just devastating on your schools.
Don't they have an e-packing plant there or something like that? And that's what's
Yeah,
drawing
they have
them?
quite a bit,
Okay.
but now they're bringing in, if they're established families, they brought in 50 more to be sponsored, well,
Where do they put those kids?
and they don't have, Clark is kind of poor too, I don't know,
Clark baffles me a little bit, cause
They
their
me
levies are
too.
really high,
yes.
and they've got industry and they got that casino.
They have a lot of industry, they have a relatively, but they're a low-paying county. Average income is $11
But I get that,
high.
but they got a big commercial base.
They do, and they're very good at bringing in money. They're genius. He's gonna retire though. They're really good at getting large amounts of money. But they're also a county that, nobody outside of the city, it's all owned by out-of-state landowners. Huge percentage of their
Oh.
ground is not owned by in-state landowners.
All right, well, is there anything else for us to do at this meeting?
April 1, is that on?
That's a Monday.
Yep, it's on your calendar, you
April
have the
Fool's
calendar
Day.
night, yes. Like I said, that notice will go in the paper on the, next week, and then, yeah, we'll do that
So it's
hearing.
gonna go next week, as slow as the mail's been.
Well, next week will just be the hearing in the
Right,
paper,
the first one.
and then by the 20th, those letters will be sent in the mail, so,
So they won't be.
see.
So the city though, you said they're probably having it at 7 o'clock then for theirs?
Ours is at 6, theirs is at 7,
Okay.
yes.
But I think a lot of people, like they did last year, they were city people that came to our meeting. A lot of them were city people upset,
They
were at the wrong meeting.
Yeah, the impact to them was,
very little,
Yeah.
not enough to take an ambulance to your door, but it was really.
There were a lot of people that were rural there though. I would say over half the people at the meeting last year were rural.
I don't know, do I, can I have a motion to
Are
adjourn?
you somewhere?
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Heather, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, we are adjourned.